Welcome to another edible and medicinal plants video. I'm back at a place I was at just recently and I found quite a few wildflowers, a number of them which have these medicinal or edible qualities. And out here looking, I was trying to find one, but I did find the other one I'm planning to do a video on today as well. So but in this video we're going to talk about wild geraniums. And I have to admit, they're one of my favorite wildflowers. They have a pretty purple lavenderish color. Their list of medicinal properties is a bit short, and I don't think they have any edible properties, but we're going to do a video on them nonetheless. Partially because, like I said, it's one of my favorites. Alright, let's quit yapping, and I saw some up here, so let's go find them. And along with a number of other wildflowers, right here are our wild geraniums. So look at that beautiful, like a lavender color to them. I like that. There's a number of them along the trail here, but I think they're quite beautiful. And as I'm walking along the trail, there's more of these beautiful wild geraniums. But I am going to find a nice little quiet spot to sit and talk about them. Number of people out on the trail here today. Alright, so we have a nice little quiet place along the trail to sit and talk about wild geranium. Like I said, it is one of my favorite wildflowers, and I think it has to do with the fact I was familiar with it even in my younger days. Back when I lived on a farm, the lower lane, we actually had two lanes. The lower lane came out to the bottom of a hill. It wasn't quite the safest place to pull out of, so I think in later years they built like an upper lane at the top of the hill. But anyway, we were walking down the lower lane and then walking out to the road, just an old country road that went through a section of woods, and there's always wild geraniums growing along that road, in early spring, usually at the beginning of May. I always had, fun memories of seeing them. They're always like a sure sign of spring, so I think that's one reason why I like them, because there's something from my childhood, wild geraniums. I do like the color too. Alright, I do have the scientific name here for you. Geranium Maculatum. Not quite sure what maculatum means. I did look that up, but kind of didn't really find anything interesting as to what that meant. I do like to try and research the scientific names, because Latin is a very descriptive language, and sometimes the Latin name can tell you a lot about the plant descriptively, but I couldn't find anything interesting about maculatum. There probably is, but anyway, I'm babbling, so let's talk about the wild geranium here. And as always, for these wild edible or medicinal plants, it's a disclaimer, if you're gonna ever eat wild edibles or use them medicinally, do your own research. Don't just take my advice or what I say in these videos. Make sure you research it for yourself before you ever try anything on your own. Alright, now there's nothing that I can come up with that's edible about wild geraniums. We got a woodpecker screaming at us over there, Pileated Woodpecker. Anyway, just try and get some pictures of him. Alright, I'm getting distracted. But it does have a couple of medicinal qualities. So actually, I'm going to get back to you. I'm going to try and get some pictures of that woodpecker. Yeah, so sorry about that. I was able to get a few pictures of him. A pileated woodpecker, or a pileated woodpecker. It's actually the largest woodpecker here in Pennsylvania and in the eastern U.S. So I think I'll show you at least one of those pictures. Hopefully it turned out all right. I won't be able to tell till I get home, but anyway, I just take advantage of that don't often get. They're not rare, but getting pictures of them is kind of awkward sometimes. They don't sit still. They're always going up and down the trees. Anyway, this is not a video about woodpeckers. This is a video about wild geraniums. One of the main medicinal qualities of the wild geranium is that it acts as an astringent, which means it shrinks the blood vessels. So if you're bleeding, it's a plant that you could mush up the leaves and apply it to the wound, and it would stop the bleeding. And one thing that multiple sources have referenced it for is to use for relief of hemorrhoids. I've seen that a number of times. Of course, I think we all know what hemorrhoids are, or the piles. A lot of the old timers call them. You got the piles, they call it. Not sure where that comes from, the piles. Anyway, so if you were out hiking in the woods and you were having issues, with walking due to some painful things going on down yonder, you could, if you found some wild geranium, you could mush the leaves up into like a little mush, like a poultice, and you know, apply it to your backside and perhaps get some relief from, because since you know, the hemorrhoids are a result of, you know, swollen blood vessels and stuff, the astringent would cause things to shrink and be more comfortable back there. So that's one thing you could use, you know, out here as you're hiking, I guess, as long as you found like a secluded spot to do that. I also came across several references to it being used for oral hygiene, for like if you have a toothache or inflamed gums, that it would help relieve issues like that. But once again, it's probably due to its astringent qualities to help reduce things that are swollen or inflamed. Not too much else medicinally for it. Like I said, I don't come across anything for it being edible, but I don't know everything. So anyway, it's still one of my favorite plants. Like I said, I love the color of it. So that'll be it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed one of my favorite wildflowers. Anyway, I'll see you around.